All right, today we are pulling back the curtain on how to make your documents look truly professional. We're going to demystify this powerful system called LaTeX, and I'm going to show you that it all comes down to just two super simple building blocks. You ever look at a scientific paper or a textbook and just wonder, how do they get that incredibly sharp, perfectly laid out look? It's not just some fancy font in Microsoft Word, I can tell you that. There is a serious system working behind the scenes, getting every little detail just right. Well, that secret is a typesetting system called LaTeX. And what it does is it arranges all your text and images on the page with mathematical precision. It might sound a little intimidating at first, but honestly, the whole thing is built on just two core ideas. Once you get these, you'll understand the fundamentals of how pretty much every LaTeX document works. Okay, let's just dive right in. The absolute best way to think about LaTeX is as a language. A language that you use to talk to your document and tell it exactly how to look. And, just like any other language, it's got its own grammar and its own vocabulary. So, that first building block is called the command. A command is basically just a special word that gives LaTeX one single specific instruction. Think of it like a verb. You're telling the document to do something, like make this text bold, or start a new page right here. So, how do you even spot a command? It's super easy. They always start with the backslash. Right after that, you'll either see a word made of letters, like document class, or sometimes just one single special character. And here is something you absolutely have to remember. They are case sensitive. The command large with a lowercase l does something totally different from large with a capital L. Now, a lot of the time, these commands need a little more info to get the job done. And that's where arguments come in. First, you've got mandatory arguments, and those go inside curly braces. You gotta have these. If your command is make bold, you have to tell it what text to make bold, right? Then you've got optional arguments, and those go in square brackets. These are for, extra settings. The command probably has a default, but you can use these to tweak it and get it just right.
So now that we know what a command is, let's take a look at some of the most common ones you're going to be using to format your text.
And you have a whole toolbox of commands just for changing font styles. You've got line text for bold, line it for italics, line text for slanted text, and you even have line textska for small caps. You just wrap the text you want to change right inside the command's curly braces. Simple as that.
And it's the same exact idea for text size. You can get super precise control over this, from /tiny all the way up to /huge. It's kind of different from a word processor where you'd pick a number. Here, you're using these descriptive commands to tell LaTeX the relative size of the text.
Okay, now here's where we see the real genius of LaTeX. You could use /italic to just make your text italic, but a much smarter command is /emph, which means emphasize. Now usually this just makes the text italic, but get this, if you use /emph on a word that's already in italics, it smartly changes it back to normal text. Why? Because you're describing your intent. You want to emphasize it, not just the visual look. You're telling LaTeX what you want to achieve, not just how to do it. And that is a subtle but incredibly powerful idea. All right, that's commands. That's building block number one. Now let's look at the second major piece of the puzzle that they work with, environments. So if a command is a single instruction, an environment is like a special zone in your document. You tell LaTeX where the zone starts with a while begin command and where it stops with an while end command. And absolutely everything you put inside that zone has to follow a specific set of rules. And probably the most common way you'll use environments is for something we all do constantly, making lists. So let's say we want a nice, simple numbered list. For that, all we have to do is open up an enumerate environment. Look how clean this code is. We just start with begin enumerate and finish it off with end enumerate. And then each item on our list just starts with the item command. Notice what's missing? We're not typing 1.0 or 2.0 ourselves at all. And boom, here's the result. LaTeX just handles all the numbering for you. But the real magic is, if you decided later to add a new item somewhere in the middle of your list, LaTeX would automatically fix all the numbering, instantly. That's the power of working inside an environment. Environments are also just fantastic for formatting entire paragraphs or big blocks of text with just one set of rules. A really classic example is centering a block of text. For this, we just need the center environment. And again, look, it's that same simple pattern. Begin center, you put all your content inside, and then you just close it up with end center. That little double backslash, by the way, that's just a command for a manual line break. And the result is exactly what you'd think.
perfectly centered text. And of course, there are similar environments for flush left and flush right alignment, so you've got full control over your paragraphs.
Now, most of the time, LaTeX is really smart about how it handles things, ignoring extra spaces and weird line breaks in your code. But what if you wanted to print something exactly as you typed it, keeping every single space and every line break?
Well, there is an environment for that too. It's called verbatim. Inside this environment, LaTeX basically just turns off all its fancy formatting rules and just types out whatever you give it, literally. It's perfect for showing computer code, like this little piece of old-school basic programming.
So let's just bring this all together. Everything in LaTeX, from a simple little memo to a huge, complex book, is all built from these two simple ideas. Commands are the individual instructions, and environments are the special zones where a set of rules apply. That's it. That's the whole grammar.
By understanding this simple grammar, you've really unlocked the power to create beautiful professional documents. So the only question left is, what are you going to write?